safety here. That's how it goes. Alright, once everything's assembled like that, okay, you're in the fire position with your safety. This is riding where it belongs. In order to hold everything good and aligned so that it's easier to get the other part back on, essentially what you're going to do is cock it. To do that, all you need to do, right, you're going to point the trigger away from you. I know it's pointed towards you in the video, but point the trigger away from you. Hold it like so. Okay. Use your thumb to hold this piece in place, and then push down on the top of the claw. The trigger will click in place. It's now essentially cocked. Now you can take your other half, mumble fingers, line it up good, give it a good squeeze, good hard squeeze, to start getting all the pins and spindles where they belong. And this is another part that's going to get scary. Now, you want to be careful of your safety lever. So you go to the edge of your work table, right? Make sure the safety lever is off the table so it doesn't get smashed or broken. You're going to take your screwdriver and use the butt of the screwdriver to give those roll pins a good smack. Turn it around, smack the other one. Alright. And you can see it's starting to go back together. And you just do that. Work a little. Don't try to get it all at once. And now, as you can see, our trigger box is back together in one piece. Alright. Now we're still in the fire position. Okay? Because when we cocked it, all we moved was the claw. We didn't push back that piece that would activate the safety normally. Alright? It's in the fire position. So. Now, just pull the trigger. That releases the claw. We're going to replace these two screws. Okay, those screws are back in. Next, we're going to very carefully, probably can't see it in my fat fingers, but there's that little bearing. It's dropped right into that little hole there. Don't be surprised if it takes you a couple of tries to do it. Then that tiny little spring goes back in on top of it. And it does go down in there, so you don't have that spring fighting you to get the little grub screw in. When you're putting in, make sure you're putting it so that there's. I'll try to give you a view of this. That's the end that goes in. That should be the end sticking out for the Allen wrench to fit in. It might be easier to put the grub screw on the Allen wrench and then just right into the hole. And that doesn't have to go in super tight. You just run it in until it's just a little, just kind of recessed in there. I know you can't see very well, but That's where it goes. Remember that spring from the rail? There's a recess in the rail for that spring. Now you'll notice that grub screw sticking out there, and there's one back here that's just barely sticking out. Don't move those. Those come from the factory adjusted for the proper angle on the rail. Get that spring in the rail. Now bring your trigger assembly. Line everything up. Now that spring that's in that recess has a recess here with the bottom of the screw, that screw that holds the arrow retainer on. The spring just sits right in that recess. This little hump here goes right into that area right there. Like so. Give it a nice little squeeze. Now this side, which would be the right side, is threaded. The opening in the trigger box is actually threaded for this screw. So you're going to start that there. Is it that side? I'm sorry. It's the left side that's threaded. So you're going to get a nice, there's that spring there, so there's tension. You're going to get a nice grip and make sure that the hole in the rail is lined up with the hole in the trigger assembly. So go right through there. So it takes a pretty good hard squeeze to get it just right. And then, like I said, the hole in the housing is threaded for this screw. So you just want to run this in by hand. You don't want to use a tool right away because you don't want to risk stripping the threads. You got to get that lined up really good. You go see it won't go past there. It's not lined up right. All right. Once you got that screw started in there really good, and you know it's gone into the rail, you're going to use your Allen wrench to run it all the way in, nice and snug. Now remember, this is aluminum that you're running the screw into, so you don't want to over tighten it. You don't want to crank that thing because you can strip the threads really easy. And once you get it through, put our nut on the lock nut on the other side. Nice and snug. And there our trigger assembly is, all put back together and no longer eating strings. Now before you put it back into the bow, to test it, just take something small that'll fit, put it into the throat of the trigger assembly, like so. Get a grip on it just like you would in the crossbow, like you would your string, and pull back. There it's cocked. Safety is engaged. Anti-dry fire lever there is working properly. So now you're going to put your finger here. Yeah, I know that's scary, but put your finger in there to hold that lever down. Okay. Push your safety switch into the fire position. Get your finger out of there. Pull the trigger. I'll do that one more time for you. Just cock it. Lever down. Pull the trigger. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Lever down. Safety to fire mode. Finger out. Pull the trigger.